Good morning. It's my honor to be here. I am Ma Di, the director of Approach Design Studio based in Hangzhou, China. Although today's topic is about tomorrow, about how architecture go forward, but my way for going forward is to take a step back. I believe many of you here, like me, have a passion in architecture design. So have you ever thought about this question? What exactly do we love about architecture? Or what's the most captivating about architecture design? This is a culture and a sports center we designed before, about 15 years ago, located in a city surrounded by mountains. That time, I think through architecture design, we can use buildings to respond to the natural environment and engage in the dialogue with the place. We can also use buildings to create a vision of nature and make people feel like they are walking and exploring in a valley. This is an exhibition center we designed before, facing the main road of the city. And that time, I think through architecture design, we can sculpt buildings, create unique forms, and shape the image of the city. This is a convention center we designed before, about 80 years ago. I think through architecture design, we can also shape space and create various of captivating in space inside, and offer people delightful experience and feelings. And this is a very small project. It's a mini exhibition pavilion redesigned by West Lake in Hangzhou, with a surrounding corridor outside. I think through architecture design, we can also explore some new materials and techniques. But after visiting these buildings multiple times, I realized that the most captivating aspect of architecture is not their forms, space, materials, or even the buildings itself. Instead, I think it lies in this word. In Chinese, it's called 触发. I think in English, it might be trigger or inspire. Let's back to this small pavilion. Because it has a corridor surrounding outside the pavilion, I saw a father and his daughter playing here for almost half an hour, but they never actually went into the pavilion. We designed this structure for people to visit, but it triggered this unexpected and even more captivating thing, a join for half an hour between a doctor and his father. Same as this convention center I mentioned before, besides its own function of hosting conferences, it often triggered many community activities that went beyond our expectation and were far more interesting. So I believe that every building from the moment of its completion starts to continuously impact and change people's lives in its unique way, and even change the relationship between people and the city, and the people and nature. These changes often go beyond our expectation, go beyond the building's assigned purpose, and are full of uncertainty. So I think maybe this is the most fascinating, captivating aspect of architecture design. For tomorrow, I hope that the building itself is no longer the goal of the design. Instead, I wish every building can take a step back, serve as a catalyst, and let them trigger as many positive and fascinating possibilities as possible. Today, I want to share three relative projects. The first one is a large convention and exhibition center completed in 2017. This project is located in a place called Co.Ltd in Hangzhou, China. The client initially hoped this huge project could become a magnificent landmark for the town. But we made it disappear in the city. At that time, this idea caused a lot of opposition. Actually, in this project, we were not just thinking about how to design an exhibition center, but really about how to make such large public buildings contribute more to the city and trigger more possibilities instead of just existing for their own sake. These are some data. Today, almost every large city has one or even several huge convention exhibition centers. They consume a lot of urban resources, but few people may realize that their usage rate is actually very low. Many of their usage rates are less than 20%. That means every year there are almost 300 days they remain idle. This causes a lot of waste in urban resources. And this situation also exists in many other similar large public buildings. So in this project, we were thinking about whether we can make the exhibition center not like an exhibition center, and allowing multiple functions to share one entity. Let the urban resources occupied by these similar large buildings release more public value. First, we reduce this huge 66,000 square meter building to just 6.6 in height, make it look like a slight hill on the ground, and with most of space buried on the ground. We want to make this building less imposing and more approachable. And then we designed lots of gentle slopes around the building, made the entire structure appear as a natural continuation of the ground. By doing this, we return the entire 100% of the land back to the city, but in the form of a more interesting three-dimensional park. In fact, the process of urbanization furthers the distance between people and nature. In this project, we want to bring this distance between them closer again. From this picture, we can see the whole building also looks like the continuation of the mountains. We persuaded the client to cancel all the fences and integrate the building with the streets, so that citizens can freely access the rooftop park from any direction. We initially designed slides on every slope, so people can climb up from one side and slide down from the other. But during the installation process, the client canceled all the slides and due to the safety concerns. But it didn't stop people wanting to slide down the slope. Every day they just love doing this. I don't know why. Of course, most of the time, people use the slope in a rational way. They enjoy sitting and resting here, enjoy the sunlight. We cut some openings on the slope, allow the sunlight into the room. And in the evening, the indoor light also attracts people to climb up the slope to watch the activities inside. The rooftop is not just a park. We also imagine it as a giant Lego base plate where we can plug in various fun facilities. For example, we added two football fields, a 700-meter long running track. We designed one section of the track to be completely elevated, crossing above the street. It offers a unique and joyful running experience. We also designed multiple routes so that joggers can choose different lengths and different difficulty levels. People love to exercise and spend time here every day, but interestingly, many of them don't actually know that this structure is an exhibition center. That's exactly what we wanted, for the building to have multiple identities, multiple functions, serve more people, and trigger more possibilities. We added a watchtower on the roof, which is also open to the public. We didn't assign a specific function to it, allowing citizens to design how to use it. They can host meetings, have classes, do yoga, and enjoy the great view here. In this photo, we can see someone even brought a big telescope here. We also created a sandbox, a vegetable garden, several 1 square meter cabins, a small stage where the stands can also serve as a place for having fun, and many other interesting facilities. All this design actually have nothing to do with the exhibition center, but these designs make this building very attractive. I want to say today, technology brings the distance between people all over the world closer than ever. But actually, real face-to-face interaction is becoming more and more rare. That's a big problem. So we hope through our design, we can encourage people to step out of their homes, their office, to come here to embrace the nature, to meet each other, and to trigger more activities, interesting activities. These are some daily things every day from morning to night. People love to come and enjoy this place. They love jogging, walking, camping, playing football, and doing other interesting activities here. And at night, we can see couples proposing here and friends whispering in the small cabin. Now this huge building has truly become a part of people's daily life. And due to such building and design, it has inspired many new community activities, such as sports games, football tournaments, concerts, and parties. And it also has inspired many new clubs, such as Tai Chi Club, Baseball Club, Model Airplane Club, and many more. We also embedded numerous sockets on the ground, on the lawn, so when people have new ideas, they can just simply plug them in like playing Lego, allowing this building to grow freely with people's imagination. The roof part covers the main entrance of the exhibition hall with the stairs. It could be used as a theater, outdoor theater. And in the summer, people like to gather here to cool off. Even the freight ramp in the corner, we designed it in a folded origami-like way. It has become a popular spot for young people to hang out. And we hope that every inch, every space can trigger new possibilities here. As I mentioned before, the usage rate of exhibition center is very low. So in this project, when designing the floor plan, we took the dimensions of some sports courts into consideration, such as basketball, badminton, table tennis, and tennis. All these facilities are easily adjustable. So whenever there is an event, this building can immediately transform into a sports hall and open to the public, making this exhibition center bustling every day. So I think maybe the usage rate of this building reached 100%. And this flexible space can also accommodate and trigger even more interesting activities. So looking back to this project, we didn't make such large buildings as magnificent and prominent as we usually did. Instead, we choose to take a step back, make the building less imposing, even to a point where it hardly looked like a building at all. But it has invigorated the entire town and triggered infinite possibilities. Although it didn't become this landmark in a traditional sense for the city, but I believe that this building has become a true symbol for ordinary people's lives. This is a second project. It's a renovation project, not big, very small, about 1,800 square meters. It's a renovation project located in Beijing, China. Actually, in this project, we are not only considering how to renovate an old building, but also think about how each renovation can contribute extra public value to the city instead of just existing for their own sake. And in this project, we also hope to explore a new relationship between architecture and the city and the urban spaces. The site is located in an old district of Beijing, China. The area used to be an industrial zone, so public spaces here are very scarce. The original building is a three-story abandoned police station with an F-shaped layout, and the site is quite cramped. The design task is to transform this police station to the headquarters of a media company. This young lady is our client, and we installed a swing on site, and she liked it a lot. She had a beautiful vision for her future office environment, hoping to work in a park-like setting. But in reality, the office was surrounded by crowded buildings, noisy streets, and a dull environment. These photos are the original state of the project, and she was a little bit frustrated with this situation. Then we asked ourselves a question: does the park have to be flat? And we also considered another question. We all know that there is a legal property line between every building and the city. So besides symbolize the boundary of the territory or becoming a code fence, what else could this invisible line be? And these are the initial sketches. Then we came up with a concept, folding park. We took a traditional flat park standing upright and folded to match the size boundary. Then we folded inward to match the height and give it a volume. Finally, we attached it to the building, replacing the original fences and creating a new boundary of the site. This is a photo we took when the project was nearing completion. Between the city and the building, we create a light vertical park that appears out of nowhere, and it looks very soft compared to the rigid surrounding buildings. It kind of looks like a large sponge. Most importantly, we persuaded the client to open this park to the public, allowing everyone to enjoy it. We also folded the traditional park pathway and integrated them into this new park. And we set up several platforms with chairs and tables for people to linger, make them feel like they are in a traditional chill parks. They become these interesting three-dimensional winding paths that encourage people to climb and explore, offering a completely new walking experience. We even hope they can get lost here. Here's an interesting story. Initially, we designed the fixed green walls over the park. But before the workers could come here to install the fixed green walls, the community had already come to decorate this park in their own way because they love it so much. We suddenly realized that without the fixed green wall, there will be more room for people to have more imagination, and the park will have more function, more possibilities. So we cancel the installations, leaving it up to the users, leaving it up to the community to design what this park should be like. This is a typical daily thing. Citizens love this unique park. They like to spend time here every day. We also installed fun facilities like punching bags, swings, slides, and something else to engage people and encourage them to meet each other, participate in these facilities. People can also imagine this park as a giant Lego board where they can plug in any new and fun ideas anytime. For example, when we installed a basketball hoop on the inside of the facade of the park, the front courtyard became the only basketball court in the block, and everyone could enjoy it. So Yeah. A basketball game could happen at any time, and it will attract people's attention. So at this moment, the entire park could become the spectator standard, offering multiple perspectives for the audience. Oh, he missed it. The front courtyard I mentioned before is full of energy, and the other courtyard on the inside is relatively quiet, suitable for thinking and discussing issues. This is a video sent to me by an employee, and we can see that there is a soft and transitional place between the hard city and his office, his windows, and where uncertain and captivating things are staged on stage every day. I think this is the best way for employee to feel relaxed. Through this folding park, we transform the original cold fences into a shared vitality trigger strip and contributing new public spaces to the city and constantly animating the whole area. We also hope to change the current code and opposing relationship between architecture and the city, and want to make every building boundaries as soft and kind as possible. As to the building itself, we didn't think about how to highlight or sculpt it, but instead we covered the facade with mirrored panels. We want to make this building disappear. These two photos was taken in the same place but at different time. We can see that mirror reflections make the facade constantly changing with the environment. It's full of uncertainty and is very charming. We hope that we can let the environment to do the design. And the activities of people at the folding park also become part of the facade, giving this building the most vivid expression. In this photo, the background is actually the facade of the building, but it is spare. Now it looks full of party and activities. And when we stand on the folding park and look inside, the mirror reflection also expanded the original small courtyard and the limited folding park infinitely, make the space look more spacious and full of greenery. The folding park naturally leads people to the roof, turning the rooftop into part of the park. Here we designed a 50-meter running track, an area for parties, and an area for fitness. And these are also open to the public. People love this rooftop. They can exercise here, they can play golf, and often hold different spontaneous community events. I've been to this cocktail party recently. It's really fantastic. As I mentioned at the beginning, the activities triggered by the building are far more interesting than the building itself. Besides the folding park, we also persuaded the client to open the lobby to the public, turning it into a reading room so everyone can enjoy this reading room, can have a rest here. And we can see the turnstiles for the staff actually is on the inner side of the lobby. Regarding the interior renovation, we didn't make any deliberate decorations, but rather create as many flowing space as possible. Many spaces have been given multiple functions to encourage more interactions. We also expanded the original enclosed stairwell into a mini atrium. We want to create a visual connection between different floors, make the staff on different floors can see each other. And we rebuilt the staircases within the atrium in order to create more opportunities for staff to meet each other, to interaction with each other. In addition, we want to make all the staircase here as interesting as possible. encourage people to take the stairs instead of the elevator. Yeah, looking back to this design, this might be a somewhat less serious renovation. The building that was supposed to be the main focus finally take a step back and face into the background, while the seemingly insignificant and even overlooked element outside the building finally become the main character of this site. But what makes us very happy is that this bold exploration has turned this project into the most beloved places in the community, and has also gained high attention from the government. It's said that the government, they are now studying on this project. I hope one day our approach can be applied to other cities and other projects. The third and the last project I share today is a high school named Ningbo Huizhen High School. It's located in Ningbo, China. Fortunately, this project won last year's Building of the Year. Yeah, that's a great honor for me and a great honor for my studio. In this project, although we were designing a school, our focus was not on how to make students study efficiently, but rather on how to make them escape from study, feel relaxed, and inspire their imagination. About school design, have you ever thought about what's the most valuable part of a campus? My answer, for me, I think, is not the classroom. It's the natural space outside the classroom. Because I think actually all classes are essentially the same everywhere. They just put students into the boxes and fill them with standardized knowledge from the same textbooks, like machines. The only difference may be that each machine looks different or tuned differently. However, the natural space outside the classroom, the parks, are different. Their purpose is to let students relax, do what they want to do, and more importantly, let them briefly escape the machine and find inspiration in nature, allowing their mind to roam freely. So I think this seemingly useless natural space on campus are actually the places that could spark students' creativity and imagination. However, few people may realize that due to our city's large population, limited educational land, and the huge competition pressure, when building high schools, efficiency comes first. In order to build as many buildings as possible on limited sites, natural spaces slowly becomes the gaps. Today's school may look more beautiful than before, but in reality, the spaces that truly let students to think freely, to relax, have disappeared. Surely, in a school, efficiency surely is important, but for these adolescent students, we believe that having a place to relax and release stress in a timely manner is more precious. And we also believe that only when a person really feels relaxed and present can their imagination and their creativity truly flourish. And if we ask ourselves, when do we feel most relaxed? I think the best answer may be when we are wasting time. Although wasting time is kind of a negative word, but for students under great pressure, moments of wasting time and empty their minds seem to be the best way to decompress and relax. So in this project, we aim to design a school where students can waste time mindfully. Our approach was to redistribute efficiency while keeping the overall level unchanged. That means we didn't change the overall area We didn't change the overall cost. We didn't change the school's requirement. Just redistribute the efficiency. And we make the teaching buildings as compact and efficient as possible, making use of every inch of the space. And the surprise is this leaves us with a large, low-efficient space facing the track field and also facing the direction of the rising sun. And we turn this vacant space into a floating forest and filled it with interesting facilities. Finally, we created this space that doesn't look like a school at all. It's filled with large plants, sunlight, resembling a giant adventure park. One day, a student told me that it looks like a scene from Indiana Jones. I said, yes, you can be Indiana Jones here. In this space, there are no traces of learning atmosphere. Actually, this space doesn't even look like it's in the city. Instead, it's filled with charms of countryside. Usually, within a 10 minutes break, students don't have enough time to go downstairs to do activities. They are just stuck in the intense study atmosphere. So here we let the forest cover each floor of the buildings. After class, students can arrive here quickly, enter into this very soft, interesting forest. Here they can completely escape from the study atmosphere, give their mind a break, and waste time mindfully. Then after 10 minutes, they can return to the classroom with renewed spirits. Actually, this clip was filmed during class time, so we were curious about why this student was here. Maybe he was just sent out of the classroom, but now he seemed to be enjoying the moment. And we want to create two completely opposite spaces on a campus. A place to concentrate on studying during class time and a place for wasting time mindfully after class. Actually, these two completely opposite places are only separated by a single wall. The scale of this forest is vast, with a total length of 120 meters and a height of 4 stories. We have hung several different shaped boxes that looks like tree houses. We also designed an intertwined elevated gallery to connect the forest ground, the train houses, each floor of the buildings. It provides students with rich and varied paths for exploration. This tree house was not assigned specific functions. Teachers and students can freely decide how to use them. And we find that many classes prefer to move their lessons to these tree houses. And when the weather is nice, even the roofs of these tree houses can also serve as classrooms. Obviously, having class in the forest without walls is much more interesting than in a conventional classroom. And in this large forest, we want students to truly relax, do whatever they want to do, enjoy the sunlight, enjoy nature. Occasionally, they may meet at the intersections and engage in casual conversations. Here, we want pressure and time, both is off here. Traditional school buildings separate the site. It creates several enclosed and oppressive spaces between them. In this project, we raised all the teaching buildings off the ground and made the divider spaces a continuous garden street. And this space also becomes the second part of this campus. Then we spread the theater, library, cafeteria, exhibition hall, and the labs along the street, creating a series of interesting outdoor activity spaces. Yes, we can see that when students enter the campus as if they were in a public guarded street, they can roam freely across the campus instead of walking past a bunch of rigid buildings and enclosed space. The interconnected teaching buildings naturally formed a large-scale rooftop park looking like a Mobius strip, and this becomes the third park of this campus. The rooftop park is partly connected to the forest. Together, they form a rich layered super park system that wrap around the entire building. Whenever students have time, they can stroll and unwind continuously in this super park system. The undulating roof feels like layered hills, making a simple walk even more enjoyable. And the rooftop itself also becomes a landscape in the city. The rooftop park also provides shelter for the forest, makes the entire forest an all-weather activity space. We also made a hole on the ceiling using and use the most simple mirror reflection to create a periscope-like device, allowing people in forests see the activities on the rooftop. And the students love this device, this simple device, very much. Every time they walk past here, they will look inside and shout a few words. And the students on both sides will interacting with each other. Yeah, this is the other perspective. We also use this soap to build a set of steps. When the weather is nice, classes can also take place on the rooftop. And this dog actually is an air vent for the lab. We want to make it not boring. And the other side is a blackboard allowing students to draw something on that. Most importantly, I want to say, when students step on the rooftop park, the overbearing school will completely disappear from their view. They only see the soft, natural surroundings, the vast city, the boundless sky. At this moment, I believe their body and mind experience complete relaxation. And usually the side of a school facing the track field is the most important facade. But here we made this facade disappear, replaced it with a natural forest. We believe that nature and the students' activities are the best designers. And as time goes by, this forest and all the parks here will grow increasingly large. We hope this school can grow freely alongside the students. I really like this picture, this photo, because it didn't like a school at all. In this project, we try to make the whole school, the whole campus take a step back, truly let students to be the protagonists. What we hope is to provide as many opportunities as possible for them to feel the nature, feel the sunlight, feel the beauty of the youth, and encourage their mind to roam freely. I think this is how youth should be like. Okay, back to my original point. I think for tomorrow, when we are designing our project, our thinking is not just think how to go forward. Sometimes architects and architecture can take a small step back. Maybe it can take a bigger step forward. Thank you. Okay.
Well, thank you. I can see why you won the prize last year. Just reminded me how fabulous it is.
Yes, thank you.
When you started to study architecture, did you have the ambition to make huge buildings? 66,000 square meter buildings? When did that arrive?
Maybe when I just graduated from school, I really want to make some huge buildings, to make some building like a sculpture, like statue, very ambitious. But after sometimes I feel like maybe just like I said, I mentioned maybe architects should take a step back, be more humble.
Yes, but it's not a humble scale, is it? It's an enormous
Yes,
scale.
so it's a challenge. I want to make this disappear,
So
make this
you,
not imposing.
did you ever design something that big when you were a student?
At the beginning of my career, I do made some design,
You
some
did
big.
always did big, did you?
No, it depends on the lucky.
It came
Yes,
naturally.
yes. If I have an opportunity, I will do some big.
Well, there is a theme, obviously, going through your work. The theme is, if I may paraphrase it, the theme is to be rational about the functional part of the building and then to add on
Yes.
the unexpected, the natural, the playful.
Yes.
But my question to you is, do you think the playful part of your buildings affects the more functional part? Because when you were talking about the school, for example,
Yes.
you described the classrooms as very rigid and, if I dare say, quite boring spaces where the teacher is delivering to the students. But I would like to think that the students were delivering something to the teacher.
Yes.
How do you feel about accepting the fact that there is that instruction is taking place in a very formal setting?
I mean,
Even in your version, because you described the students can escape from this
yeah.
formal setting
Yes.
and be in a relaxed, more natural environment. But wouldn't it be good if they didn't feel like they were just kind of being taught in a very one-directional way?
This depends on the regulation of education in Chinese. Most of their
You are subverting that. You are undermining it
yes.
by offering some other kind of environment.
Actually, I decided lots of school before. That schools are designed as you mentioned. There are some different shape classrooms and some relaxing place outside classroom in the corridor.
But I'm asking really if you can see in the future an exchange between these two worlds. Do they have to be separate?
I think there are two type of time in the classroom. I think the students should they choose to concentrate on the studying on the classroom during the
But
45 minutes.
But don't you think that the students should enjoy their study?
Um, yeah, that's another way. Yes, maybe another way. But now I think the after class time is more important for them.
I just wonder if your client, which is presumably the local city or the region, the Ministry of Education, must like what you do for they must accept and enjoy what you do.
Yes.
But I think that at a certain point, what you do will suggest a more evolved way of teaching. And that you could be seen as a bit dangerous.
Yes, but I think maybe be an architect, we have little ability to change the room of the
Which is very
teaching.
interesting that
Yes.
in China,
Yes.
and I've been very little to China, but from the outside, it seems that there's a lot of discipline about the way people live. but that with architecture there does seem to be the potential for that discipline to be relaxed and for architects to engage in different ways of thinking, which is very promising, I think.
Yes.
Do you agree with me? Or
Yes. I agree with you.
So when does it get difficult for you then? When does somebody say, hang on a minute, this is too liberal? Does that ever happen? Or do they just accept your thinking as an architect?
They have open mind. They can embrace imagination, embrace the
Is
change.
accepted
Yes.
and valued.
Yes. It's valued. Yes.
When we look at your school and we see the town with all these identical blocks around, there were two types of housing in the last. There were little houses with little roofs,
Yes.
like this,
Yes.
and there were tall, identical blocks.
Yes.
How can you affect where people live? What ambition could you have for how a city evolved? Because you're doing very important, you're kind of latching onto institutions and you are making the most of your, but if you extend that thinking to the whole city, maybe the blocks don't all have to be the same.
I think every building we design consume lots of urban resources, and we want these buildings not just fulfill the client's the requirement and the architect's expression of their hobby. I want them can contribute more to the city, to the public, to the citizens. And that also depends on what type of the buildings. If it's a residential buildings, it should be more efficiency because it's
More efficient.
Efficient, yes, because it could save the land, because the land is limited in the city.
Yes, but you could still, if it's a tall block, you could make a park on the roof.
Yes, of course, we can make a park on roof. Yes, we can. But if it's a public large building, we can make it not less imposing and less prominent. And we even want people to ignore the existing of the buildings, just to enjoy the place, to do whatever they want to do.
Well, of course, parks are a very good place for more free use of space. And I love the fact that you join sports and a kind of wilderness, there's wild parts of your school growing on the roof. I mean, that's, for me, that's the wild park is more interesting than the controlled park.
Yes.
You know, we have municipal parks in Europe and we have wild places, and wild places are more fashionable now.
Yes, outside the city, yes. Yes.
But I've kind of, you know, I return to this theme really that I think that your work is quite subversive and inspiring more inventive ways of living, and that eventually will extend to the city. And it's also very pleasing to know that architecture is a very alive form of culture in China.
Yes.
And it's very warming to hear what we heard yesterday morning and to hear your approach. It's kind of been very informative. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing your projects with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nigel.